Hey everyone, my name's Kate and I'm here at the Eastside Freedom Library. We're back in the library after a couple weeks being in my own house. And I have 3 books that I want to read to you today. And the first one is by an author named Bell Hooks. So some of your parents might have read some work that she's done. She's a thinker that's been really influential on me. And she also wrote some children's books. And I'm going to read one of them to you today. And it's called Homemade Love. My mama calls me girl pie. Her sweet, sweet. Daddy's honey bun, chocolate dewdrop. Homemade love. All good, good. But everything I do cannot be right, 'cause there's no all the time right. But all the time, any hurt can be healed, all wrongs forgiven, and all the world made peace again. Kiss, kiss. Let life go on, and all the girl pies sleep tenderly. Lost in deep dreams, nighttime surrender, closed door, sleep alone time. Memories of arms that hold me, holding me still. No need to fear the dark place, 'cause everywhere is home. So the books that I've read by Bell Hooks are a lot longer than that, but that's a short little book for you by Bell Hooks. And I have a second book for you called Lorraine, the Girl Who Sang the Storm Away. And this is written by Ketch, Secor and illustrated by Higgins Bond. And some of your parents might know Ketch Secor because he is in the band called the Old Crow Medicine Show. And the pictures in this book are really beautiful. On a Tennessee farm where the music grows wild lived a pitchforking pawpaw and his fearless grandchild. Snakes didn't scare her, neither did spiders. Lorraine had a cartload of courage inside her. Oh, the ruckus they raised when the workday grew dark, with Lorraine on her whistle and pawpaw on his harp. The songs they sang always lifted their spirits. On good days or bad, it was joyful to hear it. And even when storms hit those Tennessee hills, the music they played with their worries made their worries stand still. One morning they played 'neath the chinky pin tree when, by jingo, a crow landed right at their feet. Look, Pawpaw, he dances. Let's play it again. Well, by the last chorus, she'd found a true friend. But one day at breakfast, Lorraine thought, that's weird. The bright, shiny brass dinner bell disappeared. And out in the pig pen, she noticed something strange. The tin scoop was missing from the bin full of grain. Then the keys simply vanished from poor Pawpaw's pocket. When he went to the barn gate, he couldn't unlock it. Soon all of the shiniest things in the place were gone, pinched, lifted, without any trace. It's a thief, said Lorraine. He's gone on a spree. By gum, wondered Pawpaw, just who could it be? One drizzly night, as the whole farm lay sleeping, a frightening sound started rolling and creeping. While rain lightly pattered, the wind began lashing, and a Tennessee tempest came crashing and bashing. Boom, roar, drum-a-rum, crash, bash, rat-a-tat-tum. Oh, Pawpaw, that storm must be right overhead. I'm fearful, I'm frightened, I'm full of dread. There's only one way we can ride out this thunder. I'll go get my whistle, let's knock out a number. So Pawpaw reached in where his French harp was kept. By gum, he said, I've been harmonica napped. Then Lorraine looked around, but her eyes filled with tears. My penny whistle's gone. I've had it 9 years. But old smiling Pawpaw hugged her in tight. Now listen, Lorraine, we will get through this night. See, a twister can frighten with a whirling black wind, and a rainstorm makes landslides, and flash floods begin. A tempest could tear this whole home place apart, but it can't touch the music that's deep in your heart. Child, you always made music when you were afraid, and sadly your instrument's stolen away. But who needs a whistle or some shiny thing when you've got a voice and a song you can sing? Then out from her room she courageously crept. "Oh, Papa, you're right. No, we're sure not licked yet." Then Lorraine sang up high and old Papa sang low, and they stomped and they stamped with a big do-si-do, singing "Fire on the mountain and pig in the pen, shortening bread, shout Lula, and geese in the glen." Oh, they sang and they shouted till the first light of day, and their song chased that storm and their worries away. Quick from the window came Papa's voice calling, "The chinky pin tree in the front yard has fallen." "Look," started Papa, "do you see what's inside?" "Everything missing," said Lorraine with surprise. For deep in the heart of the smoldering tree lay a trove full of treasures that shined silvery. Papa reached into the dark hiding place, and a smile lit up on his old weathered face. For tucked in the hollow, stuffed with weed straw and thistle, he found his French harp and Lorraine's penny whistle. They broke into song with their hearts all aglow when caw, caw, caw came the voice of the crow. He was perched on a stump in the old chinky pin, dancing a jig with a mischievous grin. How their happy eyes shone as they danced to the tune, and they planted a chinky pin seedling to bloom. Then the clouds parted ways, the music rose high, and the sunshine sparkled in the Tennessee sky. I love the pictures in that book. I love the pictures of their farm and their kitchen especially. Okay, so the last book I have for you today is called Freedom on the Menu, and we've read some books about sit-ins before, and this is another book about a sit-in that's taking place in a different place, and it's by Carole Boston Weatherford. So you guys know what a sit-in is by now, but it's nice to hear different stories about it in different places. Just about every week, Mama and I went shopping downtown. I loved having her all to myself for the afternoon. Whenever it was hot or we got tired, we'd head over to the snack bar in the 5 and Dime store. We'd stand as we sipped our Cokes because we weren't allowed to sit at the lunch counter. Once, I watched a girl swivel a stool as she spooned a banana split. In the empty seat beside her was a purse almost exactly like mine. "Can I have a banana split?" I begged Mama. "Not here, Connie," said Mama. "I'll fix you one at home." "Won't be the same," I grumbled. All over town, signs told Mama and me where we could and couldn't go. Signs on water fountains, swimming pools, movie theaters, even bathrooms. Everybody I knew obeyed the signs, except my great-granny Gertie from New York. Once, when she visited us, she drank from a white-only water fountain and said real loud, "I've never heard of colored water. Have you, Connie?" And then she lifted me up so I could take a sip. I looked up from the fountain. "Y'all know better than that," a man scolded. I started to say, "Sorry, mister," but Aunt Gertie just huffed. "I'm too old for silly rules." It was a real hot day, but the man walked away without taking a drink. There weren't any signs up at the 5 and Dime, but we still knew how it was. Most people didn't expect change anytime soon, but my daddy thought different. "Dr. King's coming to town," he told us one morning. "Who's sick?" I asked. "Not that kind of doctor, Connie," Daddy laughed. "He's a minister who's working to make things better for us," said Daddy. "So we can go anywhere we please?" said Mama. "Like the lunch counter?" I asked. "Yep," said Daddy, "and other places too." Later that week, our whole family went to hear Dr. King preach at the college chapel. I didn't really understand all of his speech, but I liked his booming voice. It sounded as if he believed God was on our side. And every few minutes, Mama said, "Amen," and when Dr. King sat down, everyone stood and clapped for a long time. Soon after that, my brother and sister joined the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Everyone called it the NAACP. Remember, a couple weeks ago, we read a book that talked about the SNCC, SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. So the NAACP is another organization that was founded around that time. They let me tag along as they went door to door helping people sign up to vote. "I've never voted in my life," said a white-haired lady leaning on a cane. "Will I get to vote for the president?" "Yes, ma'am," I said. "My brother wants to be president when he's all the way grown." "Tell him he's got my vote," she chuckled, and hold on to those big dreams, she said, handing me a voter registration form. Yes, ma'am, I'll tell him, I promised, thinking about my own dreams, too. Times are changing, she said, waving as I left. Then one day, Mama and I went shopping downtown. We stopped at the snack bar just like always, and I tugged Mama's sleeve. Look over there at the lunch counter. We know those boys. There sat 4 of Brother's friends from A&T College. Don't they know they're in the wrong place, I whispered. Some rules have to be broken, Mama whispered back. I heard one of them order, coffee and a donut, please. I'm sorry, we can't serve your kind, said the blonde-haired waitress, wringing her hands. The boys didn't budge. Don't you all understand English? A kitchen worker asked. Go on over to the snack bar, she hissed. Stop making trouble here. The manager tapped his foot and jutted out his chin. They can sit there forever for all I care, he said, storming out of the store. An old white lady came up to the boys. I'm so proud of you, she said, clear as a bell, so everyone could hear. I wish someone had done this sooner. The waitress kept wiping and re-wiping the counter and refilling salt and pepper shakers, sugar pourers, and napkin holders. Suddenly, the manager came back with a tall policeman. Let's go, Connie, said Mama. The manager shooed us right out of the store and then put a closed sign in the window. I couldn't wait to tell Brother. Why'd your friends do that, I asked. If we can spend money at a store, said Brother, it's only fair that we should be able to eat at the store's lunch counters. I guess so, I said. Think it'll work? Sometimes it's important to just try, said Daddy, rubbing his chin. The next day, Daddy showed me the newspaper. The headline said, Negro students stand up by sitting down. So the word Negro, or if we refer to people as colored people, those are not words that we use anymore. But at the time that this book refers to, this point in history, that was a way that people referred respectfully to other people, to people who had black or brown skin. But we don't use those words anymore. We use those words historically. Today we would refer to someone as black, or we would refer to them as African American. We wouldn't use the words Negro or colored. But at this point in time, they did. They sat 4 hours, said Daddy, peering over the newspaper. I'd be too hungry to wait that long, I said. Connie, they didn't really want food, said Daddy. They wanted to be allowed to get it, same as if they were white, to be treated fairly. By Friday, we heard on the news how hundreds more had joined into the sit-in. The protests are growing, I told Daddy. I'm joining the sit-in, said Brother, bursting into the room. And I'm going to picket downtown, said Sister, tomorrow. I want to go too, I said. I'm plenty big enough to hold a sign, and I know I can sit. It's good that you want to help, said Daddy, but Connie, you're still too young for these things. I never get to do anything important, I pouted. You can help us make the picket sign, said Sister. That's very important. The next morning, I handed Sister my little flag for her to carry. We'll tell you everything when we get home, Brother promised. Turns out I saw the protests on TV. Hundreds of people walked up and down the sidewalks in front of the stores, restaurants, and movie theaters. I saw my own sister carrying a picket sign, and there at the back of my brother's was the back of my brother's head at the lunch counter. My own brother. I'm just so proud of him, said Daddy. Me too, I said. I just pray there's no trouble, Mama fretted. After a while, I watched the news on TV almost as much as Mama and Daddy. One night, I saw a report on the sit-ins. That doesn't look like downtown, I said. Connie, the sit-ins have spread all over the South, said Daddy. Just then, the phone rang, and I answered it. Daddy, it's Sister. She got arrested at the lunch counter. She's in jail. Sister, who always got A's in school and hardly ever got in any trouble, who Mama called was what Mama called mule stubborn. Daddy raced to the police station, but Sister wouldn't let him get her out of jail. He told me how the students kept chanting, jail not bail, jail not bail. We can't just leave Sister here with the bad guys, I pleaded. She's made up her mind, Connie, said Mama, wiping a tear away. She wants to stay with the other students. In a few days, Sister came home. Promise me you'll stop picketing, I begged. I can't do that, she said, hugging me tight. Now, instead of shopping downtown, we had to order from the Sears catalog. Mama and I leafed through the big, thick catalog together, and she even let me help pick things out, but we both knew it wasn't the same. How long before the sit-ins are over, Mama, I asked. Till folks get what they want, said Mama. That summer, Mama, Daddy, and I finally went downtown. When we passed Woolworth's, I heard someone shout, "They're serving them!" Daddy stopped so fast that the brakes screeched and Mama and I jolted forward. We parked and we ran to the lunch counter. And there sat the woman who worked in the restaurant's kitchen. They were all dressed up fancy and eating egg salad. I can't even stand the smell of egg salad, but I stood and I watched them take every bite. "Looks pretty good," I said. Daddy and I shared big grins. The next day, brother, sister, and I made a special trip downtown. Brother wore a suit and tie. We girls wore hats with white gloves. At the lunch counter, I climbed up on a stool next to them. "We'll have 3 hot dogs, 3 French fries, 2 coffees, 1 Coke, and a banana split, please," I told that blonde-haired waitress. Sister and brother sipped coffee, and I twisted on my stool while we waited for our meals. Our food soon arrived. As I ate, the waitress plopped on an extra cherry and a mound of whipped cream. She still looked nervous, but she smiled at me, and it was the best banana split I ever had. So one of the things that I like about this book is that it reminds us, as we've been thinking about all the different books that we've read about protests and things, is that sometimes it's really hard and uncomfortable and you have to make sacrifices and do things a little differently because the protests are happening. So the girl in the story and her mom start shopping online because they don't want to go downtown, but that's because they support the protests. So their lives were disrupted a little, but in the end, because the protests went on so long, they got what they were fighting for. So that's just something that I was keeping in mind while I was reading the story, and I hope it made sense to you. So next week, we are going to try something a little bit different. We're going to read stories that are a little bit longer. So if you have really young kids, or if you yourself are really young and don't like to sit for longer stories, maybe you can watch an old episode. But if you have older kids in middle or later elementary school, the books that we're going to read next week are going to be appropriate for them. So thanks for joining us at the Eastside Freedom Library, and we will see you next week.